How are you? This is the intro to the Mayor of Gainesville, Georgia's podcast. I'm here with CJ Moat Photography. She's shooting the video. We are in Gwinnett County. I just got done with a listing appointment. If you didn't know, I'm a licensed Northeast Georgia Realtor. I'd love to help you in your home buying or selling journey. But in this podcast with Sam Couvillon, the current sitting mayor of Gainesville, Georgia, we talk about his campaign and him running for Congress, 9th District of Georgia. We talk about how the campaign has been for Sam and also what he's running for, what he stands for, what he backs in Congress, and why is he taking the lead to Washington. So once again, thanks for tuning in. I'm super excited to share this video. I hope you find it interesting. Also, if you have anyone that you know that is a business owner, an entrepreneur, someone with a really cool story that might want to sit down and do a podcast, please shoot them my way. Here's my phone number and who I am. Shoot them my way. I'd love to sit down and talk with them. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoy. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Sam Couvillon. This is the current sitting mayor of Gainesville, Georgia. He's also running for the Georgia 9th Congress District. You're a Georgia native, born and raised in Watkinsville, and your wife is a Gainesville native.
Correct.
And you've had 20 plus years in the insurance business.
That's correct.
He's now found a passion for public service, diving in head first and pledging to stand shoulder to shoulder with President Trump. So Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me and having me up here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm super excited for this interview. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. So Sam, as mayor, you've led in some major initiatives. Most notable, the RSVP initiative, which attracted over $350 million in private investments, correct?
Correct.
Transforming underutilized areas into thriving spaces. You've also brought in major developments like the Boot Barn and the $12 million music venue. How has that changed your city?
Yeah, it's been transformational. I mean, I was speaking to a group in Rabun County Monday night, and I probably had 3 or 4 different people just talk about how they come down here for recreation, for entertainment, for medical services, and they were all commenting on what a great job we have done with our downtown. It's when I first got on city council in 2013. We had a few destinations downtown. We have now multiplied that extensively. And that had to do with private investment. Doug Ivester took a chance on Gainesville. He developed what we called the fourth side of the square. It was just a vacant parking lot. Those who are Gainesville natives call it the old Belk lot, because that's where Belk's department store used to be back in the day. But Doug Ivester put a $25 million investment on there. We've now got 2 restaurants, a coffee shop, 2 retail shops, and a radio station there.
Nice.
WDUN, who got their start downtown, 75 years ago or so, they have now come back downtown, and their studio sits behind the glass, and you can walk through downtown and see them broadcasting. It's really a cool element. We have an ice cream store down there. But Doug invested $25 million there. We have Brunel and their School of Psychology down there as well. And then on the top floor, we have some residences that are slowly taking over. I believe 3 of them are occupied now. But that was the start. That's called the Renaissance Building, very aptly named, because that kind of got it jump started. And then Jeff Payne, he has invested at this point $90 million in downtown, but Wow. He has an additional project that is under construction, will be another $15 million, and then he has another hotel project coming, which will be another $40 million. So I mean, it's just kind of been rocking and rolling. Success breeds success.
Right.
We've had business owners that bring in new, fresh designs on restaurants. Just brings people downtown. On our first Friday concert series, which starts in May and will run through September, we'll have 4,000 or 5,000 people downtown frequenting our businesses, listening to good music, which brings you to you mentioned Boot Barn Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Boot Barn came, and I mean, they were from Colorado Springs. It was a prime piece of real estate, and I'll tell people this all the time. a lot of times the first iteration of what you think might go there or first option might not be the best. And if you be patient, you'll get a better option. For instance, like our first option when we first kicking the tires down there, I think a Walgreens wanted to go there. Well, I mean, how impressive is a Walgreens in your downtown corridor? The second thing was maybe some medical office space. Again, not really that exciting. And then we were approached by the Boot Barn folks, and they were from Colorado Springs, and they were bringing this new concept. They were investing $13 million into that piece of property. And, you know, to give you an example of the success it's seen is on their 1-year anniversary, the concert was, they had a concert, and the owner told me that tickets were purchased from 27 different counties.
Wow.
So think about that. Yeah. We're, of course, in Hall County, so people from Hall County bought it. But all these neighboring counties, 27 different counties, people bought tickets. So that's people deciding to use their discretionary income that comes over here, and their sales tax dollars are coming here and staying here. And people often talk about how we pay for things. You know, with the city of Gainesville, only 5% of our budget is made up of property tax. It's because we have such a good sales tax base. So we have these people that come from other communities that help sustain and pay for a lot of the amenities we have. That was what we were shooting for when we designed what we wanted our downtown to like. We wanted it to be a destination. We wanted it to be a place where people came to, enjoyed, you know, gave them a chance to enjoy the community, and then when they leave, we were the beneficiary of their sales tax dollars.
Exactly. I don't know if it passed, but adding 1% to y'all's sales tax, has that passed yet?
So we have a SPLOST, and it's actually, that's the special local option sales tax. It has passed 8 times. It's on the ballot in November for a renewal of the 9th time. And, you know, with what I was just saying, you can hear that it's important to our community. And we suspect that probably 40% of our sales tax is paid for by people who don't live in Hall County. So that is a very, so when we have to repave our roads, when we're putting in infrastructure, when we're building a new firehouse, that means 40% of that is being paid for people, by people who don't live here. Now, what you may have been talking about is we had on our last election, we had a transportation SPLOST. And that did not pass. It was close, but it did not pass. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw the major roadway innovations that y'all wanted to do. We had a guy come and talk to us at Berkshire right there.
Yeah, it was that could have been a real boom for Hall County. It didn't pass, so you know, as they say, the voters have spoken.
Yep, that is true. So you just touched on a new project coming to Gainesville. Could you enlighten us a little bit more about that new construction?
Yeah. So Jeff Payne, who has been has been bullish on Gainesville. He, 2.5 years ago brought the Marriott Courtyard and the National, which is some residential living. And he also bought the building across the street, the Vault, and that has a nice restaurant called Decoy. Well, he's now building another building that's under construction right now that's going to be 5 stories high with office space, but on the bottom it's going to have a fine dining experience called Char STK, a fine steakhouse. And then they'll have a local brew pub in the back. In addition to that, just 1 block down, Jeff has bought that city block, and he is going to be bringing in a Hilton brand hotel. And that Hilton is going to be complete with a rooftop bar and I think about the same number of rooms as the Marriott. So what we've seen is we weren't sure. I mean, we knew there was demand for downtown hotel space, but what we've realized is, I mean, we're going to have 2. We could probably have another one and still, be at the level where we're accommodating, those people who are wanting to come stay in Gainesville.
Right. You said a really awesome thing. He's bullish on Gainesville.
Yes.
Do you see a lot more investors kind of making their way towards Gainesville?
Yeah, and in different areas. I mean, Jeff has invested in that hospitality space. He has
Right.
invested in the residential space, in the office space. But we have the largest office park in Northeast Georgia. The city of Gainesville's developed it. It's about 2 minutes north of where we are right now. It's right off of the intersection of 985
Right.
and Highway 129. It's 12 miles from Interstate 85
Right.
and 1 mile from Interstate 985. So we're getting a lot of interest from businesses that want to come here because we have that access to those interstate corridors. But we're seeing businesses from Korea, Hong Kong, that are making their North American headquarters here in Gainesville.
Wow.
So we're continuing to see the progress for Gainesville go in the right direction.
Right. It's in such a great area too. I mean, you have such a large area of Lake Lanier and the major highway right there. So
I tell people all the time, the best thing, there's two things that make Gainesville stand out. The first thing is the people. We have outstanding people that you want to have as your neighbors,
yeah.
people that give back. We have a very philanthropic, altruistic community. But secondly is our geography. We just sit in a place that is very desirable. You have Lake Lanier here. You have the mountains that are 45 minutes to an hour north here. You have Athens. If you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, you're an hour north. And then you have Atlanta that, realistically, within 30 minutes, you can enjoy a lot of the Metro Atlanta amenities. But if you need the airport, if you leave first thing in the morning, you can be at the airport at 5 a.m. You can be at the airport at 6 a.m. for your morning flight, and you can fly directly anywhere you want to in the world.
Right.
So we've got a lot of good things going for us.
So you began on the city council in 2013, correct?
Yes.
And then you decided to run for mayor.
Yes.
And if I'm correct, you won by 70% of the vote.
That's right.
Okay.
I often wonder who the 30% that didn't vote for me, but
so what originally called you to serve your community? And stepping into that mayor role, what were some of your goals?
Yeah, so I got involved on city council because, well, first, it's kind of who I am, and
Right.
I attribute that to my parents. My parents never held elected office, but they were always leaders in the community in some way. Just to give you an example, when I was a kid and you had the PTA at school,
Mhm.
my parents were on the board. When I went into high school and I was playing athletics and there was a booster club, my parents, they were the secretary, the treasurer, the president. They always, volunteered to be involved in what I was doing. In life, things don't just happen. You have to have people that step up to help make things happen. And
Yeah.
it can be from PTA, it can be booster club, it can be school board, it can be city council. So ultimately, I decided that I wanted to run for something, and I got urged by one of our county commissioners, a good friend of mine, Jeff Stowe. He kind of pushed me towards running for city council. At the core, I'm kind of a term limits guy, so I didn't want to join the city council and do that for 40 years. So I did it for 8 years, and I went to our mayor, who was Danny Dunnigan. I just shared with him, hey, I have a desire to run for mayor. He had told me previously that he was in his last term as mayor. Well, when I met with him, he's like, well, I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do. I was like, okay. Well, he let me know in a few weeks later, and he shared with me that he had decided not to run. So I announced I'm going to run, and then shortly thereafter, he decided he was going to run for my city council spot. So ultimately, we had the same makeup of the city council. He and I just changed chairs.
Right.
And so that was great because we have a good working relationship. Just not me and Danny, everybody. We all have a good relationship. And when you talk about goals, my goal for Gainesville was more or less, we were already headed in the right direction. I wanted to keep us on the tracks. I didn't want to overthink the process. I don't want it to be about me. It shouldn't be about Sam Couvillon. It should be about what makes Gainesville great.
Right.
And I felt like, with the direction we were heading, I just continued doing the things that we were doing. I will say, I do have a strong personality. I probably give some opinions in certain places, to help us, stay on track to where we are. But I mean, we, here recently, We're named the #1 best run city in the small city in the country.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's something that I'm very proud of. That was by the Millikan Institute. You know, we also, HGTV just named us one of the top 10 cities in the state of Georgia. You know, those are things that I'm very proud of. Those are things that, when you mention me running for Congress, I'm certainly going to hang my hat on that. You know, been very fiscally responsible. We always have a balanced budget here in the city of Gainesville, while trying to, give our citizens the amenities to want to enjoy our community.
Right. So now that you're running for Congress, how much of a difference has it been campaigning for Congress compared to your campaign for when you ran for mayor?
Well, the biggest difference is, even when I ran for city council, being in my hometown, I knew people.
Right.
So that's an easy, to be able to go out and ask people for their vote. When you know them, you go to church with them, you see them downtown, you do business with them. That's a little bit easier of an ask. What I'm seeing now is, I would say I'm somewhat known in Hall County as a whole, but there's 12 counties that make up the 9th district. So I'm having to go out there and get exposure in places that people that don't know Sam Couvillon. That's why it's important for me to talk about what we have done here in Gainesville, where we've been fiscally responsible, where we've looked at economic growth, where we have a model for policing here locally, where we have a model for work-based learning and economic development. All of those things, I am taking that message and taking it to those other 11 counties so people can get to know me and know what kind of representative I would be for them in the 9th district.
Right. That's awesome. So you say you want to bring common sense back to Congress, something many voters feel is long overdue. I'm one of them. And you've also stated, while most politicians are more concerned with making a point than getting things done, I'll be ready on day one to support President Trump's agenda and policies. What specific values and priorities do you want to bring to Washington?
So the big things that I'm, from a global, national perspective, the things that I'm most interested in are immigration, which I feel like the president, from the day that he took office, has kind of gotten that under control. It's almost not even a talking point anymore. Yeah. The second thing is, I'm concerned about our energy policy. As a country, a lot of our costs, when we talk about inflation, it's directly affected by energy, whether it be gasoline or our energy costs at home. People, some of our most vulnerable people, their most expensive bills are trying to keep their house warm in the wintertime. We've got to have a good energy policy, be self-sufficient. And when you talk about that, not to go into too many details, but when you talk about it, we are in an energy race with China. They are adversary there. Right now, the United States has, in the last year, opened 2 nuclear reactors. Now, coincidentally, or maybe not so, they are both in the state of Georgia. Those 2 reactors were open. Right now, we have 0 nuclear reactors under construction in the United States. Flip that over to China, depending on where you read, they have 25 to 40 nuclear reactors. So that is a concern, because we're going to lose that energy race if we don't get our act together. Never mind the fact that they're burning dirty coal over there. They start coal plants left and right, whereas our previous administration has kind of put us behind the 8 ball by closing coal plants, even though we burn cleaner coal than what is burnt around the rest of the world. Yeah. We're putting ourselves at a disadvantage. So that is very important. And now another component that's very important, what is the wave of the future? It's going to be the wave of the future on how you do business, how you do medicine, all things that a way of life is going to be artificial intelligence. We're already seeing the cusp of it now, but it's going to be expansive and it's going to be transformational for not only the United States, but for the world. Right. Now we have to make a decision. Are we going to be the leader in artificial intelligence, or are we going to follow China? I think we've already seen with what's going on in manufacturing, we have given up our foothold to other countries on manufacturing. We cannot afford to do that with artificial intelligence. Why does that combine with energy? Because you have to have data centers that are driving the artificial intelligence. What drives the data centers? It's power, it's energy. So a comprehensive energy independent policy is something I feel like is important as well. And then the 2 other things I'll talk about our veterans. It's very important that we take care of our veterans. Our veterans have gone and defended our country. They give you and I the freedom to go eat lunch when we want to eat lunch, walk the streets when we want to walk the streets, because they have defended our freedoms and kept us safe at home. We owe it to them to take care of them. And the last thing is, being here in Northeast Georgia, is our farmers. Our farmers feed our country. We have got to have food security, and that is very important. Here in Northeast Georgia, it's mainly poultry, but throughout the state of Georgia, the representative of the 9th District is also going to be making votes on the rest of the state, and that's going to affect our peanut farmers, our cotton farmers, our blueberry farmers, everything across the board, peach farmers. So those are the things that I'm kind of mindful of. But also, I know there's rural broadband that needs to be taken care of, and a lot of other things. One thing about being in Congress, you can't be a single topic representative. You've got to be able to look at a lot of issues and look at them with depth.
Right. And I feel like an issue we have nowadays is people are so concerned with their party, and they lean really far right, really far left. And a lot of things can be done with a common sense mindset. And I love that's one of the things you run on, is a common sense mindset.
Well, it's one thing about being the mayor. You don't have the choice of not listening to people.
Yeah.
And when you listen to people, you don't know what their background is. When you're trying to find the betterment of our community, you're talking to people and listening to their individual issues. And I think that's one of my strengths, is I can sit across from somebody and hear what their problem is, listen to them, and try to address it. I want to say that I say yes all the time, but you don't. Sometimes part of being a leader is giving bad news. But that being said, I make myself available, and I always look at myself as being concerned or curious as to what their issue is, and try to figure out how I can solve that. I feel like that's very practical, and I can take that to Washington.
Right.
One of the things that I hear is, people are like, why would you want to get involved in that? And meaning the Washington rat race. I mean, we see what's going on in Washington. We all watch the news, and we see a lot of the polarizing stuff that goes on up there. And what I try to tell people is, don't we want somebody with common sense up there representing us? Don't we want somebody who is going to take a hot button issue and just really look deep into it and make a informed decision, not just go with the radical people that are just going to be throwing it down your throat. I want to be very common sense minded, and I want to just give it thought. And I feel like I could be a great representative for the 9th District.
I love that. Sam, I have to ask you, is any part of you nervous for taking that leap to Washington?
Well, it's funny. So I tell people all the time, as the mayor or even as a city council member, locally, people would come to me and say, hey, I want to run for school board. I want to run for county commissioner. I want to run for city council. I want to run for clerk of courts, any number of offices. And the one thing I always tell them is, do it. If you even think about doing it, put yourself out there. People will not do it. Probably 90% of the time, the people that ask me about it don't end up running. Right. And there's a reason why. It's hard to put yourself out there. You're afraid to lose. There's a lot of responsibility. It's one thing to sit at home and criticize others. It's another thing to be out there and be a leader and be willing to take that criticism and make those tough decisions. So that being said, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and when I'm taking my own advice. I thought about running because I feel like the 9th District deserves a better representative than what we currently have. If Doug Collins was still the representative, I would not be running for Congress. This isn't about my ego and me wanting to be a congressman. This is about me thinking I can do a better job than who is there now. And so if I think that, if I'm going to follow my own advice, then I'm putting myself out there and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to run hard. Now, am I nervous? It's funny. I wake up, when I first announced, I'd wake up one morning just thrilled and excited, and then the next day I would be a little intimidated. As time has gone by, we're announced, I think, January 27th, so we're a few months in. As I've gotten out into the district, I've been very well received, and I'm optimistic, and I feel good about what I'm doing.
Heck yeah. Going back to radical politicians, let's talk about who you are running against. Your opponent in the Republican primary, Andrew Clyde. He's the current sitting representative, and he was elected in 2021. He's faced a series of controversies, including ethic complaints regarding legislation that could benefit his firearm business financially, a bill that he introduced, if I'm correct. And he's also been fined multiple times for not following House rules. Given this track record, do you think voters should be concerned about his ability to represent the 9th District effectively and ethically?
You know, when I look at why I'm running, it's not so much about Andrew as much as it is about me.
Right.
You know, any of those issues that you just outlined, those are things that he needs to answer to. And, you know, quite frankly, those don't even come to the top of my mind on why I'm running. You know, the reason I'm running is because as the mayor of Gainesville, the largest city in the 9th District, I just feel like I just know as the mayor that he has not delivered for us.
Right.
When we needed help on a particular issue, and I've sat down and had a meeting with him, I never heard back from him. And if you go talk to other elected officials, and I have throughout the 9th District, they will give examples of where they've done the same thing, where they've met with him. I've met with citizens where, you know, dealing with federal agencies that they had a problem with, and they went to their congressman, and their congressman told them, I'm just a legislator, I can't help you. Well, I mean, if you can't go to your congressman to help with a federal bureaucracy, who can you go to?
Right.
And that's where I see that we have a shortfall. I feel like I could be that person. Just like I was telling you as the mayor, I listen to people and I help people. Sometimes the answer is no, but I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to try to work to a solution for you. Right now, I feel like we don't have anybody there to help us.
Yeah. So Sam, what would it mean to you to personally win, or what would it mean to you personally to win this race in May?
Well, I mean, obviously I put myself out there to run. And so I want to win. So personally, I would have a lot of gratification to win. But more so what it would mean to me is to know that the people of the 9th District would be having more than adequate representation.
Right.
They would have somebody that's going to go to Washington and work for them. And as you noted, I'm going to go to Washington. I'm not there to make a point. I'm there to make progress for this district. I want to help our counties. I've spoken to county leaders in some of our counties that are having trouble with getting water to their citizens. I've talked to some counties who are having trouble getting a EPD approval for a wastewater treatment facility. I've talked to counties that are having trouble with broadband accessibility to their citizens. These are all things that, as a congressman, you can help facilitate and help get a means to an end for your citizens.
Right. If you could, to end off, Sam, if you could speak directly to the people of Georgia's 9th District, what's one thing you'd want them to hear before they head to the polls in May?
What I try to tell people is, as we've mentioned a couple of times, I am a common sense conservative. I'm going to walk shoulder to shoulder with President Trump to get his agenda passed and get it to the finish line. But I really want them to hear, and I want it to resonate, that I want to work for the 9th District. I don't want to just, come back, go to Washington and just get on the national items and try to, do Washington's work. I want to come to the Northeast. I want to come to Northeast Georgia and do the 9th District's work.